A team that is already there is the Jazz. They're one of the first teams to enter the bubble, and they also happen to be the first team that kind of
Started the
kickstarted this
bubble.
whole quarantine after Rudy Gobert tested positive for COVID-19, and then Donovan Mitchell later tested positive. Yesterday, Tim McMahon, he released an article, really good read. Make sure to check it out on ESPN.com, describing the rift between these two guys, which also chronicled that there's friction long before the two tested positive, pointing out to a moment when Gobert was at a post-game interview and then yelled out to Mitchell in a joking manner to pass the ball. But it also went into the dynamic of Donovan's star power and Rudy's focus on stats. I wanted to go this way with this story, Perk. You played with stars who didn't always get along perfectly, whether it was KD and Russ, LeBron and Kyrie, or even the way things
Boston
ended with the big three in Ray Allen and then Paul Pierce, Rondo, and KG. When there's tension in the locker room, or two coworkers, just aren't on the same page or don't vibe as well as some of the other teammates, how do you make sure that never sees the court, and how does that change a locker room?
Well, see, here's the thing. This is why vets are so valuable, right? Those locker room guys, those Jared Dudleys, those Kendrick Perkins, right? Because of the young teams that are because when I was with the Boston Celtics, we had an old team. We policed ourselves. And we had a problem. We addressed it. We talked it out. We had more coming to Jesus meetings than any other team in the league because we had beef, right? So, but what people have to realize is that when Paul, KG, and Ray teamed up, they had accomplished everything that they needed to accomplish individually. These guys were in their early 30s going, and the only thing that they needed to do was win a championship. Now, when I went to Oklahoma, I go to a group of young, talented studs that was 21, 22, 23 years old that was still trying to establish themselves individually, but we were still trying to win the championship. And yes, it was friction, but I instantly became that locker room guy while I threw out the hidden agendas. And it's going to be tension. But here's my message to Rudy, right? Rudy has been playing phenomenal this year. And I watched a couple of plays when they was doing the season right before the pandemic where he was frustrated when he wasn't getting the ball on the block when they switched to high pick and roll and he had a guard sealed in the paint. Well, Rudy, that's not the game no more, okay? They're not throwing it down to the block. That's not what got you paid. That's not what got you to become an all-star. You're a defensive player of the year. You're a live threat at the rim. You're a guy that catches lives, finish around the basket, rebound, and block shots. That's your role. It got you $100 million. It got you into an all-star game. That's why you're a good player. Now, to Donovan Mitchell, he has to get better. I can understand a little bit where Rudy is coming from. Not necessarily you passing me the ball, but Donovan Mitchell, this is going to be an evaluation period for the Utah Jazz as far as with Donovan Mitchell. Is he a franchise guy that you could build around? He's having the best season of his career, but we also know that during the playoffs, he tend to have those 6 for 21 nights shooting and not come through in the clutch. And he do take bad shots at time, and he do play bad basketball at time. But in his defense, he also brings it every night. And this was his first year when Mike Conley got hurt that Quinn Snyder moved him over to the point guard position. And that was his first time playing the point guard. So he didn't really know how to, make guys better and construct. He's a scorer. That's what he do. He gets buckets. So to me, I think somebody in that locker room, I don't know the vets that they have really, because I really don't see any, but they got to come together. And usually during the playoffs they do, because right now everybody they made the All-Star game, so it shouldn't be no more hidden agendas. Who cares who have the big night? Everyone is going to step up in some type of capacity throughout the playoffs and the postseason. So they need to just brush that aside. But once again, this is why veteran guys are so important in young locker rooms, especially with teams with young talent who's trying to win a championship.
Yo, we're a Disney-owned company. Everyone's down at Disney World, so let me regale you with a Disney song that describes this perfectly. Tale as old as time,
Mhm.
song as old as rhyme. Big men who are mad at the point guard for not giving the ball enough. This is as old as basketball gets. Every big in the history of basketball is mad because they ain't get me the ball enough. They expect me to set these screens, to block these shots, to take care of them on the defensive end. But when it comes over to getting me the ball, giving me a little taste, they ain't got no time for me. That's just kind of like I feel like when you're a big man, they give you a pamphlet before you get in the league. Like, these are the things you're gonna complain about for your whole career. All right, go ahead. Um, and so there's two sides to the story. There's the side of the story where, in the words of Kendrick Perkins, it ain't what you say, it's how you say it. Rudy
Mhm.
Gobert, you got need to learn how to get your point across without being annoying. And he, at least, for to his credit,
Yeah.
in the story, is very self-aware. I
He said,
know I
"I'm
get on
annoying."
guys. I'm annoying. I wear on guys or whatever.
Yeah.
And we call it demanding, but also there's plenty of examples of people who can be right and also cannot be liked. Like Chris Paul, the reason he's not in Houston isn't because he was wrong. It's because people got tired of Chris Paul. Like that you gotta be able to adjust the way you communicate. On the other hand, Donovan Mitchell, you as the point guard have a responsibility. It's the only position where they have to like you, right?
Mm,
And you sometimes, even if you think there's something better, sometimes you got to throw them a bone. When we were in Phoenix, our first two plays of the first quarter and our first two plays of the third quarter, basically coming out of the game, scripted plays, post ups for Amari.
mm.
Were post ups the most efficient thing that we did? No. Did we expect like all this amazing things to happen off of these post ups? No. But the idea was we get the ball to Amari. He feels involved. He feels like, okay, I'm part of this. And now he's engaged the rest of the game. Now we got his attention to do all those other things. It's the same. Like when I was a kid, I remember listening to Hubie Brown talk about when the big man protects the rim on this end, and now we in break, and he run down the court. As a guard, your responsibility is to give him the ball because it's not about like, oh, I think I can do better with it if I drive or if I take a step back. It's about thank you for taking care of me back there. Here's your reward. You give him the ball on the break so that he can go finish and get himself an easy dunk and feel good about himself and feel good about the job he's doing on the other end. And so to me, this is a two-sided issue. Rudy, you gotta learn how to talk to people, but Donovan, you gotta learn that you gotta take care of your big man because he takes care of a lot of other things for you.
And I
Yeah.
agree. Pass it real quick. I just want to add a point to Amin. That's a great point because guess what? When I was with the Celtics, every start of the game, guess who the play was ran for? Me. Doc used to run the play for me to start the game
Mm-hmm.
because he used to say, you know what? If I get Perk on the duck end and I get him a easy 2 points, it might be his only 2 points of the game, but I know he's going to do everything I ask him to do. Guess what? When I got to Oklahoma City, we was going through the same thing with Serge Ibaka. He wanted touches. He wanted the
Mm-hmm.
ball. Guess what I told Scott Brooks? Hey, let's run every play for Serge, start the game. Let's get him involved. Guess what? We get 9 or 10 blocks a game from Serge Ibaka. So that was a great point by Amin. Just wanted to add that in.
Well,
I
in this
appreciate that.
duo, they have a potential to be a very lethal duo, going forward, but
Yep.
they have to continue to build trust. I mean, Gobert said it himself. Your relationships are never perfect. The most important thing is to have respect for one another. And I think that's something we saw with Kobe and Shaq. They may have not liked each other and their championship runs, but they certainly had respect for each other. And it's going to take a lot of maturing for the both of them to look inside themselves to figure out how they can be successful together.